think there are people like this step and having the right mechanisms to support it. That is my very short answer.
I just want to clarify what we're talking about, because we're starting to talk about common goods and public goods, and then you use the phrase dividing the pie, but that's not what common goods are about. Common goods are about, like, I actually own this, but not as my slice, right? This is a common hub, or this is a common blockchain. So like, and yeah, so how do you think about ownership as part of this allocation process?
I mean, I guess the first place that my mind goes is not to ownership, but it's to Hobby and Lean for making this space available to us. So thank you. One or two people who care that radiate outwards that want to be the change, and you know, I mean, I almost put the question to them, like, how can we support you? I don't put you on the spot, but
The screen. There, right there next to you. Where's
Yeah.
support the region?
I think we're all like pontificating about different ways to solve it. Yeah.
Just scan it.
Scan it, send money to Regen Village, and you know, we'll be proud to support you guys in the next Bitcoin round. And I mean, I think I just have to hold the sadness with, you know, the way things are, with my optimism for the fact that we'll eventually solve them, and or at least start addressing them. And I don't think there's a clean, easy answer, and I think I appreciate you asking the question though. Thank you. All right, go ahead, Eugene.
Yeah, I'll jump in with, I was wondering about with the kind of resources that you've covered, or the mechanisms that you've covered in the book, the other ones you've been hearing about as you've been talking about, are there any specific ones that you're most excited about actually seeing put out into the world? I know you mentioned like the cookie jar one in a different panel, and that one gave me a lot of ideas of specific environments that can be like trialed in.
Yeah.
So I guess in this context, whether it's in the context of like supporting projects like Regen Village and everything that's going on here, or just more broadly from a pool mechanism perspective, anything you want to see?
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's 35 mechanisms in the book, and there'll be 50 something in the next book. And so, like, I think we'll invest resources into building a taxonomy of mechanisms and sorting them by self-similar attributes that they have. Areas of that taxonomy that I'm excited about. How can we take these crypto mechanisms and make them legible to the mainstream so that more of the total addressable market will get bigger? That's an exciting category for me. Another exciting category is just simple mechanisms. I think that Gitcoin, like, we went off the deep end with complexity, with quadratic funding and Sybil resistance, and oh my God, we have to like build this all on chain. Now it has to be private. Like, fuck. And like simple mechanisms, like, I don't know, Rayfield's working on this thing called Cookie Jar, where just like, if you're in a list of DAO contributors, you can pull a couple $100 out every few weeks, and like, like, just leave a note about what you're using it for, and just don't abuse it, and you'll be on the list still. Like, that's really great. You don't have to expense your web hosting or, you know, buying pizza for people at the Commons Hub. Like, that's a really like simple mechanism. So bringing them mainstream is one category. I think also simple mechanisms is another category. I'm really excited about mobile capital allocation experiences, and you know, what are the ways that we could just like emergently be giving out money to people in the Regen community at the next Regen's Unite event. I think that would be cool. Farcaster frames, holy shit, like, we spend 15 minutes per quarter allocating capital to Optimism or Gitcoin if we're at Optimism for a badge holder. But like, if we all spend 2 or 3 hours a day on social media, what are the ways that we can embed public goods funding mechanisms into social media? That's cool to me. So there's a bunch of different areas that I think are exciting to sort of like pinch and zoom and to build into high resolution. And you know, it'd be cool to hear what other people are excited about too. You're at MetaGov and you're sort of an explorer of the design space. Can I ask you really quickly, like, what are you excited about?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just to rip off the cookie jar idea, I know you were mentioning in terms of like a cookie jar within a single ecosystem.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to say thanks for coming. Please grab a book on the way out. Yeah.
But yeah, it would also be really interesting because I know there's more talk about like how do we coordinate research funding or certain like big problems, how do we coordinate funding them together from multiple organizations. And actually Cookie Jar might be an interesting mechanism when it's in such a niche space that actually all the potential eligible applicants are actually known and public actors. Yeah, and just I feel like there's much more appetite for folks to come together and think about these ideas and actually iterate and experiment with them in the near future. So yeah, I'm super excited to just have this as like a coordinating function for people to be aware of just the landscape of options at hand, and then just get it more on the minds of people who actually want to design and build them. I mean, I'm always like biased towards how do we get research funded or like public goods like this funded, and yeah, I'm hoping to collaborate with a bunch of folks here to experiment on that side.
Yeah. And then my yes and would be that like I know we talk a lot about like mechanisms and like I actually think that like the mechanisms will co-evolve along with the memes and the culture and the communities that apply them. And I think it's like important to be able to hold the duality between soft institutional things like culture and then like the hard institutional things like the mechanisms in there. And so I just want to remind everyone that like the soft things really have an important part to play also as we explore these design spaces also. And, you know, I have a computer science degree, so I'm always going to speak in terms of mechanisms, but the culture and the execution is really important too. Thanks, Eugene. Go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. I think you were just speaking to this a little bit, but maybe to take it to another level. I'm wondering, how do you optimize for diversity of participation? I mean, how do we integrate the voices of people who can't be in this room or maybe aren't even on the internet? So I'm thinking about like indigenous voices and farmers, people who work on land, even just people who live in like blue collar contexts. Like how do we optimize for actual diversity of participation in these funding mechanisms?
Yeah, that's a really important question, especially as these things go out of the somewhat non-diverse like Web3 space and into the world, which is, you know, very diverse, and it'll be more existential as we go out to the world. I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is to work backwards from the outcomes, to study your population and to work backwards from the outcomes that they really want. And like, don't lead with a solution, looking for a problem, looking for a community, really study your communities and work backwards from them, I think is an important thing to do. And like, we're literally programming our values into our money, right? This is like the whole thing. And there is, and I'm a software engineer, so I'm guilty of this also, but there's like a little bit of like, hey, we're a solution looking for a problem, and like solutionism is the antithesis of what you're talking about. And then the second thing that I'll say is that I'm really excited about Glenn Wiles' vision for plurality. He has a new book out called Plurality, which is it's really very cool. I don't know how to even encapsulate like his vision, but one of the things that he talks about is building capital allocation systems that promote a cooperation across social distance. And basically, Gitcoin has put this into practice with our quadratic funding mechanism. Basically, if you and I vote only for the same grants, then it'll dampen our matching multiples. Whereas if you and I come from different parts of the world and have different preferences, and we vote for the same thing, it'll amplify that expression. So basically, algorithmically dampening filter bubbles and amplifying cooperation across social distance is a new tool that we have in order to promote diversity as a first principle, and I think that's cool. But I don't have all the answers. Part of what I'm doing here is creating a social space where people can come together and share the answers. And so if you're from one of those communities, then I want to amplify your voice. So come tell me where I'm wrong, and we'll amplify that. What do you think?
I really like your first approach of starting by understanding the community and coming from an outcomes-based approach. I think that's a great answer.
Thanks for the question. Hi, Javi, what's up?
Hey, good to be here.
Javi set the anchor for this space along with Lean and Regen's Unite. Can we give them another Unite?
It's so great to have you here and to have all of you here. And we get the key space a month ago. So I really appreciate all the volunteers, all the people who have contributed to furnish the place, There's been a lot of work going on, and indeed, this is a public good, right? So our goal is to run this as a common, as a DAO. And so yes, thank you so much for all the work that you've been putting, because I think like we haven't really figured it out yet, really, how to make this sustainable. My background is in Silicon Valley startups, Web 2.0, and so over there you would raise millions and get 5-6 figure salaries, 6 figure salaries, yeah, 100K, whatever. And when you work for the public goods, my goodness, it is so hard to get not even half of that and then pay the rent. And so I can see here, like most of the side events today at FCC, like their budget is 50K a day, and we try to do this with 20K a day, and even that is actually quite hard to put together the budget. So we need to keep on working. So thank you for working on that. I wanted to talk about a few things. Maybe first experience, first-hand experience. So I've been building like a platform called Open Collective to also help public goods in communities. Back in 2015, so it's been a while, and so I know how hard it is to actually get money for all of those communities. One thing that I've experienced myself recently, I did an open source project, openletter.earth. I was trying to get people to contribute to pay for the server bills, and they were just asking nicely for donation, and I had one donation a month at best. And then I did a simple change, which was actually at the end when they signed a letter. I basically shared the equivalent of what you see at the bottom left there, which is the expense tracker, right? So that people can see, oh, it actually costs money. Oh, there's actually a human being who is actually paying for me. Maybe I can contribute. Right? And I think I'm a big believer also in the gift economy. There's a great book, I don't know if you read it, from Charles Eisenstein on sacred economics.
A better world or Hearthstone is possible.
Yeah.
Subtitle,
Yeah. So that's a really great book as well. And but to get there, I think it's important indeed, as Grace was saying, that we need really transparency. People need to know that, hey, if you don't pay for it, somebody else is paying for it. And if we really want a new world, we better pay for it ourselves. Otherwise, it's going to be dictated by whoever is going to pay, right? Which is mostly, petrodollar somehow, right? So just doing that was changed. Now I have a donation every day, almost, and so that's a simple trick. And then lastly, thank you so much because you are donating 15 books, also for the Regen economy, because you all have a wristband that has an NFC wallet on it. So if you scan it with your phone, you can see. And then you can earn some tokens. You will get 5 tokens for just registering here today, but you can have more tokens by helping us clean the park in front, helping here with the dishes and cleaning up the space of the common. And then you can have ice creams, or you can have the book as well. That's another way. That's another mechanism to allocate.
That's cool. And so you can pay not just with capital, but with your labor.
Exactly.
Well, you can pay with Regen.
You can pay with the Regen Blossoms token. That's to me like a kind of a word that I want to see is to move from this monoculture of a single currency, where you can be millionaire in dollars and then you have access to everything, to a permaculture of many different currencies, where I don't care how many dollars you have, no ice cream for you if you didn't contribute to the community. The power of ice cream.
Thank you, Javi. That was beautiful. We have it's 1:20 now. I don't want to make you guys sit too much, so like maybe another 10 minutes. We'll start to wind down the fishbowl and then start hanging out.
Yes,
That's
so we'll take your question still, but I had one little add-on question for you, Xavier, and also for you, Kevin. Like, you put all the expenses on there, but what I was then immediately thinking of to make this allocation mechanism also better, it shows like, oh, we almost raised 40,000 euros. You see the expenses, but if we would put the total of the expenses on it, and actually if we would pay all the contributors a basic salary, like we would probably be very much in the red, right? But is it there, or am I missing it?
No. Yeah, that's why the goal was to raise 100K to be able to pay the contributors.
Yeah. Okay. So, but that, and I'm kind of wondering, like, should we is it a good thing to actually put that in the red or put something like, because right now it's like, oh, we're almost gonna raise a goal, and I wonder psychologically, because you see this so often with like we have these Kickstarters, etc. Like, why do we need to reach the 100,000? Well, so I was wondering if you have a thought, if we need to make that even more, and it's also not just for this one, or in general, do we need to work on the scarcity mindset, or is this exactly what we need to avoid? It's for both of you.
I could answer quickly so that it's a space for somebody else. But you can see like the different kind of milestones to secure the space, to pay for the food catering, then the core contributors, and then the contributors. There's kind of different circles for rewarding. But that's a good question. I have no bloody idea. And I think we need to, and obviously nobody has figured it out really fully yet. So we need to keep on experimenting. So if you have feedback, please share. So I'm also really curious to hear your thoughts
Also,
on
we
that.
haven't even covered food and drinks, right? That's what, right?
Yeah.
Almost there. Let's go.
Does it automatically update?
Yes. The best way to actually the best way to find out is to try.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything smart to add here. It's a hard problem, and yeah, I hope to iterate the design space with you about it.
I actually.
Go ahead. Oh, sorry, Corey, did you have something to add?
Did the buttons like go up there?
Yeah,
No.
sure. Come join us.
We'll get to your question in just a second. Thank you.
This is one of the people not getting paid right now.
I'm a masochist, so I like to work for free. Because it's fun in the down space. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's an interesting perception thing going on with the Regen meme. I've noticed when you ask for funding behind an event that has Regen in the name, people kind of like, I think there's a bit of an association with like, oh, okay, yeah, that's nice. It's an impact event. We're going to talk about like environmental stuff. Like, it's nice, but we need to think about our target audience and where they're going to be, and make sure that we get in front of them. And I think where the money's really flowing in the space tends to be more around like DeFi, and yeah, maybe like specific other topics. But usually when people think of Regen, I don't think they're thinking of it as like a valuable investment for their events budgets. And what I'd really like to do is like change the narrative around that and really like show that we're talking about serious topics in the Regen Village, which I guess has like, you know, it's very green branding. It's very vibey. There's lots of plants, but I also want to make it clear that like we're trying to change systems for the better in a serious way. And it incorporates all the same topics actually that are being discussed in these other very well-funded events. But somehow I don't think that's getting across. And unless you're like really on like an insider group, also like within this meme, like we're a young brand, we're kind of like, yeah, we're a little bit lesser known. We don't always even do the best job of adding our branding ourselves behind this. We realized, but that's also because we didn't really want to make it just about us. We want to make it like a collective event. Like we wanted to hold a space for this whole niche for the week to give like, yeah, to give space for these topics and these discussions to be held. And yeah, so yeah, it's always a question of like, it just comes down to like marketing and branding and being perceived as like valuable to invest in. And I don't know, sometimes I just think the Regen meme is like, it has more work to do to kind of tell that story. So yeah, I mean, that's just what it comes down to for me for events budgets, I think.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent point. I mean, for those of you who are skilled at reading between the lines, I think that Gitcoin's pivoting in a couple ways from single mechanism to multi-mechanism, but like we're really leaning into this like pro-social regen impact stuff a couple of years ago, and we I think now are more focused on being a sophisticated capital allocation tool for DAOs to deploy their treasuries, and like I just want to name that and want to shy away from that. But my dream would be for it to be like a sophisticated tool that's worth your investment in the front, and then it's regen in the back. Regen wallet is kind of what I think that we're pivoting towards a little bit. She's looking at me from this angle. I'm like, okay, I see that. Yeah, but I don't know. I think that Gitcoin's VC funded, and when we have people make six figures at Bitcoin, and I think that we're playing the accelerationist game, and there's a contradiction in that with the social impact in some ways, but there's also it's also very effective for pushing things forward. I mean, when the contributors are empowered and hungry, and everything, it's effective. But I don't know. I don't want to shy away from that when I speak in front of you all, and I just want to say that I think there is a way to build pro business and things that are good for the space, and have 1% for public goods or 10% for Regen baked into it. And that's kind of what the champagne class of funding will be. Is I think that we'll pinch off a little bit here and there for our pro social stuff, and that's how we'll solve it at scale. Anyway, I feel like did you come up to comment on this
I
or?
want to come on. Yeah, this is
Okay.
the last question because then we're gonna wrap up here, right?
Okay,
Or
I feel like
not?
we keep stringing you along.
Yeah.
But we'll do one more and then we'll get to it. Go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Philippe. I'm very new to all of this Regen thing, so I also kind of jumped a little bit because I met someone here on HCC. He kind of convinced me to join the Regen Village, and I came to check it out. And I was actually expecting something really different. And I just want to comment on the branding thing. I was expecting something around forest regeneration, forest. And there's that, but what I see here is actually something that is making me getting a little bit more interest on the space again, to be fair. I am someone that I'm very enthusiastic about Web3, about decentralization. I have my own projects. I'm a startup founder coming from traditional worlds, the Web2 world, SaaS, and so on and so forth. Always very keen about the decentralization, the power of creating mechanisms that are automated and so on and so forth. And I've been lately very cynic about the space because it's all about either meme coins or staking and restaking and re-restaking in layer 1, 2, 3, 4. There are more blockchains and layers than actually applications. There's everyone just finding another way to move liquidity to someone else, find someone else to push that liquidity and take them from them, and then gain from people everywhere around. And everywhere around you see I've become very, very cynic about the space. And actually, it's very interesting to see the type of conversations here, the type of crowd here. And just to comment on the Regen thing and the branding, I don't know how, but yeah, I just want to share that from an external perspective, it does come across different, right? And coming here, I will be much more enthusiastically following many of the projects I see here. I will support on the Regen Village. Just wanted a quick tip. When you scan, I don't have my wallet on my phone, security reasons. Just send me a payment link, just a click like that, an email. I will pay it later. I will definitely support it. So these small usability things can definitely increase the number of donations you will have. Maybe not immediately, but hey, stuff like that. But yeah, just to shout a kudos to all of you. And maybe there's a lot of work to do on the Regen branding, just to share my external thoughts to all of you. I will probably see I saw the Regen tipping stuff, like that a lot. We'll probably start cooperating on a few things, but just to say that as someone that follows the Web3 space and crypto space since 2017, more active and less active in different things, I was becoming more and more cynical about the space for the last few years, and it's very good to see a crowd like this. So just want to share that.
We will stop stringing you along. Thank you for patiently waiting. What's up?
Thanks. Hi. I'd like to sit here representing the people who are doing Regen work on the ground, planting trees, building houses. And I'm probably not the only one in the room, but I'd like to stand here because it's the second Regen event that I'm attending, trying to find out, not being a tech, not coming from even IT knowledge, just struggling with my phone and my computer, where can we cross this divide? Because there are organizations, I know about in France, for instance, where you have thousands of communities which are registered, doing work, building community, doing everything that we are talking about. And I sense, without being able to grasp it, that there might be a mechanism here where we could, for instance, we bought a big land, few people, and I would be ready to put that as a collateral somewhere in the scheme to get the snowballing effect or the champagne trickling down, but I don't grasp it. I don't know where to get it. So I'll read your book and I'll maybe going to another Regen event again, but I'm not yet able to get it together. So there are people in the room that have ideas that could be that. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the feedback, and I think it's like, I think one maybe fault of this space is that we're too meta about like coordination mechanisms and systems and everything like that, and not on the ground touching grass and communing with the people that we serve. And so, I think it's a good reminder to spend more time actually at the object level stuff. And so I see people in this room that I know are really good at that, and I hope to encourage more of that in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's a great question, and I think the thing that we just heard before, but also you are here, and so many people are here and walked in, and do not indeed have these levels of knowledge, and this is why the Commons Hub exists. Lane was sitting there, like she came to me like 2 years ago, and she's like, Chris, what is a DAO? What is a DAO? Like I know nothing. I know nothing, but we want to do this. And so now she's just like the DAO queen. She's doing it all. So just like a little crab on her plus for me. She's just like the best. She's doing so much. But that's how it starts. Like you bring people together in a space, and like even if you're like, I don't know any of the technical things, you start helping out. You start, like, we need some people to vacuum the floor here at the end. We need some volunteers. And then you just have
That's a real request.
Yeah, that's a real request. And then at the end, we just sit down and he's like, okay, well, you were talking about like, this thing, but I see this MetaMask thing. I have no idea how it works. And you sit down and you just have some people, I love explaining this stuff. People can always ask me. So just like slowly, by coming to these spaces, the knowledge will spread, you will scale it, and for that, like, yeah, let's get physical, let's build physical hubs where we get together and face to face, we share the knowledge. That's how it grows as well for me. I wanted to add that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing that I heard in your question though is like we want to invite people and be inclusive about them, teaching them the technology, but eventually at scale, hopefully this gets to a place where the mechanisms and the technology, the money comes to you without you having to be tech aware or anything like that. And I heard a little bit of that in your question and comment too. So I think that we're not there yet, but hopefully we'll get there at some point.
Let's grow.
Yeah.
Good, but fine. Hold on, we got a couple announcements and then we're gonna break. Sejal, go ahead.
So I had a question.
Yeah.
So I want to understand like what are the adjacent spaces that you see, which is use cases for these mechanisms, right? So dance is one use case, right? So I see like when I read about these mechanisms, it seems like there is more to this. And I know like that's a space that still needs to be explored, but
Yeah.
like what do you see as other use cases?
Would you briefly repeat the question for the
Yeah, so the question was, outside of grants, what are the use cases that we see for these mechanisms? And I think that the answer is, like, broadly speaking, I think that as tokenization eats the world and blockchains become the substrate of the next financial system, everything, science funding, nonprofit impact-based work, how financial markets work, will all be changed by next generation capital allocation. Just kind of like a non-answer, but also like the biggest answer. And there's a chapter about that in the book. So thank you, Sejal. Before we wrap, I just wanted to An, did you want to come up and say a couple words about the design of the book?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't want to put you on the spot, but I also want to spotlight you if you want to talk about it. Did you want to come up?
Well, I can explain a bit the
Okay,
idea.
so everyone, would love to welcome to the stage An, who did all of the designs and illustrations. A lot of mechanism stuff can be very academic and very dry, and we wanted this to feel more alive, and An's work was essential to that. So just wanted to ask you what was in your head and your heart as we were going through this process, and if you could tell us a little bit about the illustrations, that'd be great.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to
Can you guys hear her? Yeah.
thank you so much for the opportunity to work together. It was really very interesting. And I was thinking how to represent.
Just hold it a little bit closer, please.
Yeah, I was thinking how to represent the whole the mechanisms, and I found botanist. His name Liedenmeyer, and he was a Hungarian theoretical biologist and botanist, and he developed our system. Basically, this system, mathematical framework used to model the growth patterns of plants in the organism. Basically, he described through mathematical model plants and living organisms. And after I found also system tool on GitHub, and I generate these plants in GitHub. And basically, this book is a generative art based on all systems, and also use AI. And the idea is it's like a network garden. Each of mechanisms represented through plants.
Yeah.
And it will grow.
So let's grow. Jimmy strikes again. No, I mean I think that I really love the way the art came out and the way that it expresses a mechanism in a visual way that's consistent across mechanisms, and it's inspiring for me to just page through the book and see them. And so I think that your work really made this book shine. So thank you, An.
Thank you also.
Are we ending it there? I think we are ending it there. Kevin, do you think do you still believe that public goods are good? Just I wanted to emphasize.
What a layup to end on. Thanks, everyone. I think we're going to try to distribute. Okay, so there's 200 books. There's a bunch of socks. There's shirts. There's enough books for everyone, so please don't crowd the book area. And
spread the message and just do some caption
yeah,
allocation.
if you wouldn't mind retweeting my tweet about the book launch, that would help just more people who aren't here reach it. And if you feel inspired after reading the book, please post in the Telegram channel or please tell your friends about it. And thanks for coming. Thanks for showing up. Your participation is proof that you care. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everyone.
This is what I'm snagging for myself. Let's see if I can get one.
Everyone just wants to let you know also, please feel welcome to stay here for the day.